Alright, so I am very excited to be covering some chords for you today. And I figured the best pattern to go with would be to follow the same pattern that I used for 30 days of scales, starting with C major, and then adding sharps up to 7, and then going over to flats, adding up to 7, and then the relative minors on the inside there. So a lot of people kind of freeze up, to be honest, if they're in a jamming situation and someone says something like, oh, key of F, key of C, key of D. A lot of people, will kind of shake their head, but you can tell they're not quite sure. Or maybe they know a few chords. They might know like the 3 major chords that would work, but don't realize that you also have 3 minor chords at your disposal as well. So that's kind of what I'm going to be covering. And the first one is going to be the key of C. So just like we had 7 notes in the scale, there we've also got chords for each of those. And a chord is built up of 3 notes. You have your root, a third, and a fifth. If you were to see it on a staff, it would either, typically line up as a line, then the next line, the next line, or a space, the next space, the next space. That would be like a triad shape. And guitars, because the way we're tuned, we don't get a lot of triads. Maybe more often on like the high strings, it might be possible. But for the key of C, it's just like the notes of the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, and then you have a diminished for B right there. So those groups of 3 notes, depending on what the third note is doing, is either going to be a major chord or a minor chord. And typically in major scales, you have a major 1, 4, and 5. And they'll use Roman numerals to represent those. And they'll look normal, just big uppercase I, IV, and then just a single V. So key of C, you have C chord. Then you have your F chord, which is just down here for the smaller version. And then you have G chord. It's true this F, you could also do a 6-string version like this. And guess what, for G major, you could scoot that forward. It's still the same thing. You could even drop it down here. There's another C. So lots of options there, but that's still just the 3 major chords in there. You still have 3 options for minor chords as well. So your 2 chord, your 3, and your 6 are going to be the minor ones. And they would as well be represented by Roman numerals, but they're going to be like lowercase to signify that they're minor. So like the small 2, I, 3 being I, and then VI for the small 6 there. And those are going to be in the key of C. You would have D minor would be your 2, E minor would be your 3, and then A minor, that would be your 6 chord. And the 6 is actually the relative minor of the 1 there. And that might sound kind of foreign right now, but stick with me. I'll continue explaining this, and it'll make more sense once we see it in other keys actually working there too. So 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and then you even have that last note, B, right there, which B, D, and F, that's kind of like a smaller chord, because the 5th is 1 note in from the other one there. So that can kind of be played like this, I believe. Let's see, we got a B here, a D, and I'm going to put my F down there. That would be like a B diminished. I could also move this F down here. More of a triad form there. But not one that you're going to be using near as much as the 3 major and 3 minors, but it is there, so it's worth covering there as well. But that's the key of C. So I'm just going to keep going with G, where we'll add in the sharp F, which is going to be the 7th, so it's going to be the diminished for next time. But I'll get a little bit more into that. I'm excited to be talking about chords and things a little bit more specific with the notes that we covered with the scales. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.